So this is Tiffany from WMBR, and I'm talking today with comedian Eugene Mirman, who's going to be in town starting Thursday, May 1st, with a series of shows at the Berkeley Performance Center in Boston, as well as a bunch of shows at the Sinclair. Thanks so much, Eugene, for taking the time to talk with me today.
Of course, I'm very happy to.
So the inspiration for this interview series was to interview musicians about food and chefs about music. And you are neither of those things, but I found that you actually have some really interesting experiences with both food and music.
It's true.
Yeah, so I heard that you used to be a college radio DJ. Is that true?
It's true. I had a college show. I had a show at Mount Holyoke and also one at Amherst College because I went to Hampshire, and at the time they had no radio station.
Oh, okay.
So I just sort of did half music, half talk shows at these various places. That was really fun. It's something I really love doing.
Cool. What type of music did you play on your radio show?
I would play probably whatever were the alternative hits of the day or the indie college hits of the day.
Okay. Did you have a name for your show? Or it sounds like you had a series of shows?
I think it was all vaguely versions of the Eugene show.
Okay.
I never called it something like Midnight Lightning or anything like that, though they were often very late.
Any special...
And often full of lightning.
Any special DJ name?
I think I was just DJ Eugene Mirman.
Okay.
It never really led to any dating.
All right. So do you think that being a college radio DJ helped you at all in terms of connecting with promoters or record labels when you started doing your own performances?
No. I guess it totally might if you were someone who was more savvy and thinking about that sort of thing. But for me, I was just having fun doing these shows.
Yeah, okay.
It's not like that was basically it.
That makes sense. So I know that you're signed to Sub Pop, which is a really big indie rock label. What was the process of signing to it as a comedian?
I was on, my booking agent is from Seattle, and I was also on another label there out of Seattle. But mostly it was that I had met them and knew the people from Sub Pop for a while. When I was thinking of doing my second record, I sort of asked them if they would want to do it. And they were excited, and so since then I've worked with them, and I really love Sub Pop because they're kind of great to work with.
Yeah, that's great. Was there like a precedent at Sub Pop in terms of having comedians? I know they have put out records by Flight of the Conchords and David Cross.
They had done. I think David was probably their first comic, and then I might have been the second comic, and I'd actually kind of met them through David, and and they had put out a record of Patton's and stuff, but. They do have a handful of comics that they've put out over the years.
Yeah, cool. And I know you also have a history of opening for different bands from the Shins to Yo La Tengo. How did that collaboration come about? Was that something that Sub Pop actively sort of put together?
No, that was actually more. That was sort of either, Yo La Tengo has a lot of comics do stuff with them over the years.
Okay.
They have their Hanukkah shows where they have different comics, perform each night. And then with the Shins, the person who's now my booking agent, asked me if I wanted to open for them, and then, had also put me on a tour with Modest Mouse. And then sort of other collaborations since then, like I've opened for Andrew Bird, and that came about because he had asked me to do it, and that sort of thing. So a lot of it now is mostly the bands that either you mutually like each other, or it's through a sort of booking agent or basically friends.
I see. So are there any bands that you're planning on collaborating with next?
I might do a tour. I did a few dates in the fall with Robin Hitchcock, and we might try to do a tour sometime in the fall or the following spring. Oh. But that's the only thing that's sort of in the works. I mostly now tour music venues, doing just straight comedy without really, without it being a band opening for me or me opening for a band.
Well, if you could open up for any band, like your dream band, who would it be?
That's a really funny question. I don't know. I mean, it might be the shows that I did with Robin Hitchcock. In general, I think it's much harder to open up for bands. So it's not, so like there could be a band I love, but I don't know that I'd necessarily want to. Like, it's not like I'd want to open for REM. I think that would be a terrible experience, but I'd really love to watch them play music. You know, if they were still a band.
Right. Okay.
So meaning, like, I love Aerosmith, but I can't imagine a worse experience than opening for Aerosmith.
All right.
I mean, I could imagine a worse experience, but anyway, you get what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And there's probably comics that I love, but I mean, the thing that is kind of great about the sort of comedy world is a lot of the people that you sort of like and admire you get to do shows with. I mean, I would almost say Concord's, I opened for them, and that was incredibly fun.
Right. Yeah, actually, I saw you open for them about 4 years ago at the Berkeley Greek Theater. And I really enjoyed that show. And I was wondering, have you ever written music for your stand-up routine or considered doing it?
Not really. I mean, I have a theremin that I used in my last special, and I might have musical parts on my next album, but I've never really, like, written music for my stand-up. Also, I can't play piano or guitar or any music or sing.
How did the theremin come about?
I was always just sort of obsessed with doing jokes with a theremin, and then I decided to do a bit called Jokes with a Theremin. And I basically just went to a store and bought a theremin, and then eventually also got in touch with Moog and got a great theremin from them, and then just sort of started trying to do stuff on stage.
Cool. So I know that for your comedy festival, you had Nico Case actually performing for some of for one of the shows. How did that collaboration happen?
She's done our festival in the past, and in general, I've done shows that she's been on, and she's done shows that I've been on. There's, I think, a very strong connection between a lot of sort of indie acts and a lot of comedians. And so, I mean, basically, we asked Nico if she wanted to do the show, and she was like, "Yeah, I'd love to."
Cool.
So I mean, a lot of it, it's funny, because, I mean, based on the questions of, like, did Sub Pop put me in touch with somebody, I think a lot of the sort of collaborations you see are basically the artists, who are in touch with each other.
Right, I see. That makes sense.
And who, like, sort of over years from comedy festivals or each other's shows just get to know each other a little.
Cool. Well, I saw that your Twitter description says that you like seafood.
It's true, I do like seafood.
So, being from Lexington, what are your favorite places to get seafood around this area?
It'd be funny if you're like, your favorite places to get seafood in Lexington. I'm glad that's not your question. Well, Uni is an awesome sushi place. I always love... Say it again?
Have you had their late-night ramen?
I haven't had the midnight ramen, though. I stayed at the Elliott not long ago and had sort of hoped to be able to, but never had a chance. I'm going to try to at some point get their midnight ramen. I love that. Toro has some awesome seafood stuff, and then there's also just like Summer Shack with their delightful New England lobsters. I'm sure I'm blanking on something that I really enjoy, but that's some of it. Oh, Puritan and Company. I think it's a swordfish pastrami that's amazing.
Oh, I had that the other day, actually. I thought it was really good, too.
See? Wow, I have a really pretty good knowledge of Boston seafood places.
Yeah, I know. That's why we're doing this interview. Right? Yeah, impressive. Are there any other types of Northeastern or like New England specialties that you look for when you're back at home?
I mean, it's sort of why in that mix I added Summer Shack, because it is fun to just go and get, like clams or steamed lobster and stuff, or a lobster roll.
Do you have a favorite place for a lobster roll? I know that's traditional thing.
I don't know if I'm like mostly just like Cape Cod or Maine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not to say that I wouldn't in Boston proper.
So you voiced Gene on Bob's Burgers. I do. Are you a fan of burgers yourself?
Sure. I mean, I like burgers, though I probably, don't often order burgers in place of ordering a whole fish.
Have you ever had a seafood burger?
I'm sure I've had a seafood burger, but I don't know that I would, are you asking, like a salmon burger?
Yeah, or a shrimp burger. I've heard of that, too.
Sure. I've had those sorts of things. I don't know if I could think of a place that makes them that I would recommend specifically. Okay. But yeah.
So you're a seafood purist, then?
No. No, I like cured meats and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, I just meant like seafood as seafood rather than seafood as just
I like a nice clam cake or a lobster cake or a shrimp cake or whatever.
All right, fair enough.
I'm not put seafood in any form and combine it with ham. I don't care.
Cool. Well, I know that since you're from the area, you're probably familiar with Bartley's.
Yes, I am. Square? I used to do a show at the Hong Kong every week when I lived in Boston.
Oh,
so I'm familiar with Bartley's Burgers.
So you know their menu is always famous celebrities and politicians. If Eugene Mirman was a menu item on the Bartley's menu, what would it be?
I don't know. It would probably have Thai chili peppers.
Oh,
See?
That's surprising.
Gorgonzola. I'd have to think about it. I don't want to just rattle off a bunch of ingredients and have a bunch of people putting a fried egg with Thai chili peppers and gorgonzola on a burger and a tiny bit of prosciutto. Sounds fine.
No, that sounds pretty good to me. Great. Well, you're going to be
topped off with clam chowder. Don't do that last part.
On a burger. Wow, yeah, that would be interesting.
No, that would just create a soupy disaster. The burger's called the Eugene Mirman Soupy Disaster. Or maybe a hollowed-out burger bun with soup. That's just a bread bowl.
Good point. So you have a bunch of shows coming up in Harvard Square at the Sinclair. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about what they should expect at the Comedy Festival?
Yeah. Well, we're doing... Chelsea Peretti is doing a show on Thursday, and then we have a show... John Benjamin, we're doing a show of sort of people who lived in Boston with me and John Benjamin and Mehran Kagani. And then we're doing a show that's sort of themed about graduation and, people's first jobs and sort of advice, and that's with me and Nick Thune and Wyatt and Kristen Shaw. And then we have shows at the Berkeley Performance Center Saturday and Sunday.
Great. So the show that you have at the Sinclair, I see it's called... Do not post compromising pictures of yourself drunk or semi-nude. Stories of post-college life, sad day jobs, and general graduation advice.
Exactly.
Is that specifically, I'm guessing, aimed towards graduating seniors?
That's the theme of it. But no, it's still comics just telling stories. So, it's not like if someone was 28, they wouldn't understand someone's funny story about a job they used to have at a restaurant.
Right. Okay.
So it's true that it has like a theme, as things do, but it's not like only people who are just graduating will understand.
Right. Okay. Well, that's it for all of my questions. Did you have any final thoughts about food or music?
Final thoughts about food or music. Both are wonderful things. My only thing that I would add is that there's a comic coming from England who has never performed in Boston, named Daniel Kitson, who in England is thought of as the sort of greatest comic of his generation, and he's performing on the early show at Berkeley Performance Center on Saturday, and anyone who can hear me and doesn't come has made a terrible decision.
All right, and that show is the one that has Nico Case. So
that is the show with Nico Case. Yeah, Nico and Daniel and Nick Thune, who does a sort of musical comedy. So yeah, and Janelle James, who's very funny. So that's going to be an awesome show. That's the early show on Saturday. And Kitson is a sort of incredible comic, and I'm very, very excited that he is coming to do that show on Saturday.
Coming all the way from the UK?
From the United Kingdom. He's getting inside an airplane.
That is very impressive.
Which using science can travel very quickly.
Oh, and I also saw that on Sunday you're doing something with Bill Nye. I think that would be especially interesting.
Yeah, Sunday Bill Nye and I are doing Star Talk, which is a sort of science comedy radio show where we interview scientists, and there's like another comic with me, and it's very fun. You can hear them. If you go to Star Talk Radio, you can hear a bunch that I've done with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Neil has started filling in. That's a super fun show on Sunday. So if you like science and comedy, anyone...
Which I think a lot of MIT students probably will.
Yes, I believe MIT students, if they know what's right, will come to the show with me and Bill Nye.
All right, great. Well, definitely check out Eugene Mirman, comedyfestival.com for all the information about the shows that we talked about in this interview. But thanks so much again for...
Well, thank you very much.
...for the talk, and good luck with the festival.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.